TICE, TIE Delhi is hosting the much anticipated HR Summit 2024. And today, in this exclusive conversation, we have with us the chief guest of HR Summit, Mr. Pankaj Bansal. He's the co founder and group CEO of People Strong. Well, this is just one role that we have mentioned. Apart from this, Bansal is also the managing partner with Carrot Capital and board member of Karma Yogi Bharat. But today he has joined us as the chief guest of the much awaited HR Summit. So let's get into the conversation with him and know more about HR Summit. In this exclusive conversation, he will also open up about the role of HR in startups. Welcome, Mr. Bansal.
Oh, thank you. Namaste. Great to be here.
All right. So to begin with it, can you tell me about the role of HR in startups?
I think it is becoming more important than ever before. From finding a co-founder to building the top team and early stage teams, I think all that is HR. However, HR takes a center seat because the growth of the organization is largely dependent how the core teams are formed. So I think it's the most important aspect of any startup today.
But at the same time, we have seen it over the years that the role of human resources is often underestimated. So what are those steps that the industry needs to take to make sure that the role is not underestimated anymore?
It's about the processes and systems of HR. That's what it takes a backseat in startup, not the importance of people. But I think the processes associated, be it the salary systems, be it the leave systems, be it the employee social security, be it the medical systems, which all appears very transactional, but very important for even early stage. So there's a saying, if you bring in too early the systems, it takes away the birthright of a company. And if you delay it, it takes away the destiny. So I think it is about the right balance, that what kind of things and processes we'll set up. But I think policies should be delayed as long as possible and it's not hurting the company. That's my take in a startup environment. Have good
Right.
processes, not too rigid policies.
At the same time, we are going to see HR Summit happening on 2nd Feb, and you are also part of it. So, how do you see the role of such summits, in maintaining that role of human resources?
There are so many content opportunities available in human resources in India and globally. But I think there are not many forums where startups get together to discuss HR. Most of the forums around startups are equities, are business plans, are funding, solving market problems. But otherwise, most of the conferences are focused on large scale HR functions. So I think TICON and TI Delhi, specifically this HR conference becomes important because it's getting the community together, that too at the heart of India in the national capital region. So I think people from Noida, Gurgaon, Delhi, and across the
Right.
country, I'm assuming, can come and participate and learn. There's a smart set of people have been got together who can interact and learn from each other.
All right. Also, like when we talk about startups, HR, and all these things, there is a major challenge that startups face these days, that is having good talent on board. Especially the experienced people, they are not ready to come on board when it is about a startup. So, how you think that this challenge can be overcome?
See, I think many of this will be discussed at a summit, but at a very high level, if I tell in two buckets, one bucket is how will you take care of the wealth creation opportunity for an individual?
Right.
So, how do we construct that social security in the mind of an individual that I'm not going to lose there as an upside there? So that's what part where be it ESOPs, where be it the wealth creation plans, where be it the long-term incentive plans that can be doled out, created for the teams to be attracted. And the other bucket is the softer bucket, where we go and tell people how their employability, how their purpose in life,
Right.
those elements will get linked because they will be able to live their dream with passion if they join in a startup. So the whole narrative of the founding team to a new member who's joining becomes very important. So I think these two combinations, which is the wealth creation opportunity, hardcore financials, ESOPs, and on the other side, we are saying that how the narrative is being built. So this is the balance that every founding team plays up to attract the top talent. And this is only possible if you take care of the basic minimum of an individual. No one comes at a zero salary. These founders
Yeah.
can, but when you start hiring people, so you'll have to find the right balance where you can manage your cash and equity.
At the same time, there is a lot of fear about layoffs. Layoffs has become a major challenge for the industry. So how people like you, people in HR basically, make sure that when they are hiring, they hire with a positive approach, and they, make sure that this fear is not among their team.
Startup world is not for a faint-hearted people. I think we all should get it. There is no standard rule book that someone will guarantee. No one can guarantee. Even Santa comes with a clause, right? That's the joke that
Right.
everybody keeps saying. So I think large corporations also have layoffs. It's not that only startups have, but I think startups gain more attention in the market. But even the biggest of the companies, there is nothing called job security. But yeah, we can assure people that they'll be most fair. We can assure people that we will do whatever is the best interest of the people. As long as we can guarantee and take care of that, that's the max the startup can offer. Other than that, everything is just a promise.
At the same time, like what methods do you really see, to foster a positive culture and employee engagement within any company?
Actually, startups have a much better chance of doing that than a large corporation. Startups are agile, relatively small when they start. So their capacity to engage with people, know what's happening is much higher. Number two, startups can communicate their focus area, their business area, and the business results much better than a larger company because they can talk, every employee knows what they're responsible for, they can connect with the goals with outcomes. So that's the second thing people do. And third is every startup, people want to grow fast, but can you set up the systems which can define consequence management very well? Consequence management means how will they gain or not gain. So how transparent or rational it can be done through a smart, strong process management for performance. So that's what I would recommend.
And according to you, what are the key trends within the human resource sector which will maybe take the industry ahead?
See, one is, of course, the technology. I think everything, at every aspect of HR, we are applying the science of HR, as I call it. So in our lives run on a science algorithm, right? Everything you order in life through an algorithm. So similarly, HR is becoming an algorithm of a different level. So that's the first part. Second is the decision making in HR is becoming much more intelligent, smarter with an intervention of AI. So how can we make it more smarter, more predictive in nature? That's the second thing which is very, very evident. Third major shift is around skill cloud. The world is moving from the degrees and certificates that you have, but it is moving to the skills that people own. So a skill cloud is being built towards the people. And fourth and last is the inclusivity. How will you make sure that people feel included in an enterprise? They can be old or young, they can be from previous generation, this generation, they can be having different preferences, they can be different religious, caste or creed beliefs. So how will you make sure they are included in an organization? So I think these are the trends which are evident in the HR function today.
You mentioned about technology, you mentioned about AI. So I believe that you are a veteran in the HR industry. So how do you really keep yourself updated? Because you come from a time when technology was not at boom, and now technology is everywhere. So how have you made this transition, and how do you like manage with it?
Yeah, you make me sound as if I'm very old. I'm not that old, but still, if I look at it, I think the transition is simple. I think I have always looked at my career in curves. So my initial curve career was HR. Then I moved to a CEO or a business or a startup role where I launched People Strong with my co-founder Shelly. And then third phase is where I started looking at learning my investment career and how do I make investments so that India can create more jobs. So I've looked at these three things, and what kept me agile is the focus on India or Bharat. And I think I'm part of Government of India's initiative called Karmyogi Bharat. So I'm very excited about it. Again, a big tech intervention across the government. So I think that keeps me agile, that keeps me focused, that keeps me driven, that I have to learn new. And in every of these roles, I have to reinvent myself, otherwise I couldn't deliver. So I have failed, I have succeeded, but I have enjoyed for sure.
Coming to my last question, three tips from you for startups to maintain, a smooth HR functioning.
So one is don't see HR as a cost. That's my first thing. So get it right. So make sure that HR is seen as an investment and culture processes are given adherence to, not just culture announcements. But that's the first part that I will say. That's the first part which I personally admire if startups can do it. Secondly, forming the boards with the right diverse background. So startups don't set up boards. I don't know why. Have a board, make sure that you have women representation there. It makes a huge difference in an organization. That's the second part, which is board and governance. And third, I will say that raising capital at the right times, at the right dilution. No one gets it right, but if you can get that right, that helps the organization not only to create wealth, but to distribute wealth in the right fashion. So I think those are the three things that I will suggest and advise. I'm also a learner, so I'm also learning.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you for connecting with us. For latest updates from the HR Summit, stay tuned with TICE. Also, if you want to register for HR Summit, you can find the registration link in the description.